Greetings from Lutsen, Minnesota. This is the day that the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad and live today. This past weekend back in Houston, we had friends in town for a visit, but also for a very important event, our fantasy football draft. For those who are not familiar with this American phenomenon, group members form teams, and then they draft NFL players to be on their team. Then each week, each team will go head-to-head with another team in your league. Now, the players that represent your particular team score you points based on their performance in their real-life NFL games, such as yardage gained or points scored. Once the week's NFL games have concluded on Monday night, then all the points that your particular players earned for you are added up, and if you have more points than your opponent, well, then obviously you win and they lose. You keep the same players all season, but you rotate each week which teams within your league you will play. Needless to say, it is imperative that you have players on your roster that will score you points each week so that you will be victorious. You want to have the best players on your squad. Back in the book of Genesis, God wanted to have the best as well. And while he wasn't playing fantasy football, he was beginning a new relationship with people. God selected Abraham as his number one draft pick. God had high expectations for him as he promised to make a great nation of him, to make his name great and to bless him so that he might be a blessing to others. And through Abraham and Isaac and Jacob and all their descendants sprung forth a great nation indeed, the chosen people of Israel. God made a covenant with the Israelites that he would make them his treasured possession among all people if they followed his commandments. God was happy with his draft picks. He had a team like no other. That is, until they began to stray from his ways and break his ordinances and his statutes. Our story for today is one of hope for those who weren't selected to be a part of God's original squad. It begins with a Syrophoenician woman who approaches Jesus and begs him to cast out the demon that resides in her daughter. Now, the story is huge because this woman is not a Jew, but rather a Gentile. She was not selected to God's team. She had no part in the promise that was bestowed upon the chosen people. Yet here she is, pleading with a Jew to help her out. She's sticking her neck out with this gutsy move, a move that was unheard of. I mean, why should Jesus pay any attention to this woman? This is the message that I pick up when I read that Jesus responds to the woman, "Let the children be fed first, for it is not fair to take the children's food and throw it to the dogs." It sounds like he's saying that the Jews are the chosen ones of God, not the Gentiles. They are the ones that get first dibs on this message of salvation and love that Jesus brings to the people. It isn't right to just throw it away to the dogs, so to speak. Now, it is curious to think about and imagine how Jesus is exactly saying all of this. I mean, does he really believe this? Is he being sarcastic? Is he testing the woman? What are his body language and facial expressions like? We don't know. But what we do know is that the woman has a zinger for Jesus. She replies, "Sir, even the dogs under the table eat the children's crumbs." The message and the promises of God might have not have been tailored for the Gentiles' ears in the beginning, but they are making their way to them because the Jews have rejected either Jesus, the message, or both. It's kind of like the chosen people of God are having pizza for dinner and taking their crusts and throwing them down to the family dog that's sitting underneath the table. I mean, this isn't the good part. I don't want it. I reject it. You can have it if you really want it that badly. And this Gentile woman, she's eating it up. She knows of Jesus and his power. She knows that he is something special and is able to do great things. She's not just patiently waiting for God's heavenly food. She's asking for it. She is proactive and says, "Jesus, your message is for the Jews. I know that, but they don't want it, and I do. Please, sir, give it to me. Heal my daughter and restore her life." Jesus sees this woman's faith and realizes that she's right. God's grace isn't just for the ones on the playing field or a part of his original team. It's also for the ones on the sideline, those who are over in the stands, in the parking lot, and even those back at home who could care less about the game. The love and salvation that comes to us through Jesus Christ is for all people, whether they deserve it or not, whether they want it or not, whether they are aware of it or not. God shows no partiality when it comes to his people. And this is what gospel writer Mark conveys to us through this story. Jesus comes for all people, period. No questions asked. All we have to do is have faith that the promise is for us. It doesn't matter where we feel like we fall in that pecking order. Jesus plays no favorites. We are all chosen in our baptisms because we believe. There are no exclusions. While our gospel text is a proclamation of pure love from God, the prophet Isaiah also reminds us that God indeed wants to be in a relationship with us, no matter the condition we find ourselves in. Let's listen to Isaiah 35. Be strong, do not fear. Here is your God. He will come and save you. Then the eyes of the blind shall be opened, and the ears of the deaf unstopped. Then the lame shall leap like a deer, and the tongue of the speechless sing for joy. Maybe we feel a little bit like that Syrophoenician woman. Maybe we feel like we don't belong. Maybe we feel like we're sitting on the outskirts looking in. Maybe we feel like we do not deserve forgiveness, grace, and love. Well, there's good news for us all. No matter the condition we find ourselves in or what our origin story might be, we are all invited to be in relationship with God through his Son, Jesus Christ. What we thought to be the case once before, it is no longer. For Jesus comes to break down the wall of sin that is standing between God and humanity, and he selects each one of us to be a part of his team. The draft has taken place, the teams are set, and all the believers are invited to take an active role in proclaiming this wonderful gift that is given to us through the cross. Jesus has chosen us. We are his. To God be all the glory. Amen. Remember as you go about your day that yesterday is gone. Tomorrow does not yet belong to you. So why not live today, knowing that you never walk alone? We'll see y'all next week. Later.